What if you could take anything and quite literally turn it into the best soup of your life? This is not just a singular recipe. This is a way. It's not the only way, but it is a way to turn just about anything into the most delicious soup. Think of your favorite vegetable. Think of your favorite type of soup. Do you like it thick? Do you like it thin? Do you like it brothy? If you follow the technique all the way through, you will have a beautiful soup. Now, we'll have a recipe for you to follow, but the point is, this is all about the building blocks of turning literally anything into soup. With that being said, let's make this, shall we? So first we'll start by making the base of our soup, running through each step of flavor enhancement, liquid choices, and finally plating. Hello, and welcome to How to Turn Anything into Soup. If that's how I started my intros, that would be a terrible time. What is this? Vegetables or something? Step one, start with a mirepoix. You have celery, carrots, onion. 3, 2, 1. So these are gonna get diced. I like to cut the ends off the celery because they tend to be dried, bruised. Sometimes they have gunk in them. So you're gonna cut the bottom third and then the top third. And you're just gonna rough dice this. It really doesn't need to be perfect. So you cut that into little batons. And now you're gonna cut it the other direction. So you're left with rough cubes. Just repeat with the rest of your celery. Okay, now your carrots. Same concept, cut the top off. I like to cut the carrot in half just to give me some more stability. So depending on the size of your carrot, these are pretty small, so I can afford to cut them in half lengthwise. But if they're really thick and girthy, well, first of all, you should probably stick to one carrot, and separately you should cut it into about 1/2-inch planks. Again, cut in half, then in half again. We're gonna cut it in half one more time, lengthwise. But we're learning so many things today, guys. You like that? You know, a little bit of knife skills, a little bit of making a soupy. Now we're gonna cut the other direction. Try to keep those cuts even. They don't have to be perfect, but relatively. Okay, and finally our onion. Try to keep it all the same size. Okay, so we're gonna cut our onion in half. Now we're gonna go about 1/2-inch fingies on that onion. And go down at once, the bottom third, then the top third. Then you're just gonna cut straight down, 1/2-inch intervals. Same thing on the other guy. Yay! Onion, carrot, celery. That is our mirepoix. I'm just putting it in a bowl. All right, so now we're gonna come over here. We have a big, large stock pot. Set that to medium heat. We got a little bit extra virgin olive oil. You can do avocado oil, beef fat, pork fat, duck fat, any fat, butter, I don't care. Put just enough to coat the bottom of the pan, around 2 tablespoons. Maybe 3 if you're feeling frisky. So I'm not even gonna wait for this to heat up. I'm actually gonna add my mirepoix straight in. You're not gonna hear any sizzle sound. A lot of people will tell you, oh, if you don't hear sizzle, it's not gonna cook properly. Shut the hell up. The oil is there to keep them from sticking and developing any browning or charring, but we want them to kind of steam in their own juices here. You're gonna cook stirring occasionally at this heat, about 2 to 4 minutes, or just until softened but not browned. Oh yeah, add a touch of salt to taste. Salt is gonna help draw out the moisture, which we really, really need so that they sweat properly. During this stage is when people are gonna walk in the room and go, oh my God, that smells so good, what are you making? Mirepoix, dude. Now, we move on to step 2. Vegetables, but wait, Josh, you just showed vegetables. No, the mirepoix is simply acting as an aromatic for the dish. It is the base function of the flavor, but it's also gonna add a little bit of texture. The vegetable portion is completely up to you. You can pick any mix and match of vegetables you want. By the way, the volume of this is to your spec. So I'm gonna give you measurements for what I'm making, but you can use less mirepoix. You could do 1/2 an onion, 1 carrot, celery. It just depends on how much soup you wanna make. Same thing goes here. Every vegetable you choose is gonna give you a different look, a different flavor, a different texture. So choose to your spec. I've got 1 red bell pepper, 2 Yukon Gold potatoes, 2 yellow squash, 3 leeks, and about a 1/2 pound of shiitake mushrooms. So we're gonna process these. Rough chop it up. I don't care how you chop it, but I do wanna show you, if you're gonna use leeks, which I think make an incredible soup, cut off the hard green. You don't need to throw this away. You can either freeze this or leave it in your fridge and you can make stock with this, so don't throw this away. To clean the base of these leeks, here's the stem base, here's the cut part. You're gonna cut down in half just before you get to the base, right about there. Take your knife out, then you're gonna quarter turn it and do that again. So you're essentially perfectly quartering this. Now your leek is opened up like this. Do that to all your leeks. We're gonna take these to the sink and you're going to wash in between each of these layers. Let the water get in there because these have a lot of grit and dirt that sit in the fibers of it. You don't want that. Now our leeks are actually ready to be cut too. Not only are they clean, but you just cut straight down. So I processed 3 leeks. I got my red bell pepper, I de-seed it, I rough chop it, I got my squash, I break those down and rough chop that, similarly sized my red bell pepper. Same thing with my Yukon Gold potatoes, the 2 of them. And then same thing with my 1/2 pound of shiitake mushrooms. Also, don't forget to take the stems out of your shiitake mushrooms. They are incredibly woody and they will not cook down. But you can keep these, you can freeze these, you can use them for stock, so don't throw those away either. Like I said, use any vegetables you want, okay? There's no rules here. This is what I'm using. You can follow my recipe exactly. Again, the link will be in the description on our website. It has all of our recipes that we do on this channel written and every other recipe I've ever written. So joshweissman.com, link in the description. But anyway, I like to add a touch more oil at this stage, like another tablespoon or two, just because we're introducing a lot of other vegetables that are gonna absorb that oil. So those are all going in. Generous pinch of salt, maybe 2. Get that water pulled from these veg. Just stir that all together. Make sure to coat everything in the oil. Make sure that everything is nice and evenly distributed. Bring the mirepoix from the bottom of the pot up to the top of the pot. I don't want them just sitting at the bottom burning all day. We want to distribute it. All right, now that these are all in, lower this to medium-low. You could also keep it at medium hypothetically. Pop a lid on and then just let these cook and sweat for about 5 minutes, stirring occasionally. We want these to soften a little bit, but not quite all the way. Step 3, flavor enhancers. This is your moment to select how you want to influence some of these flavors. You could, I guess, omit this, but this is where aromatics are added, where flavorful pastes are added, where spices are added, etc., right? Think things like gochujang, tomato paste, or aromatics like garlic. What about garlic being a vegetable? I separated garlic into this phase because to me, garlic is optional in this dish. Garlic doesn't belong in mirepoix, and garlic doesn't belong in the vegetables that you add because we're not adding it for body, we're only adding it for the flavor of garlic, which you can do with or without in this case. I got a little bit of tomato paste and I have some gochujang. Those are the only flavor enhancers I'm putting, but you could do any spices you want. You could do MSG, you could do miso. You could even put fresh herbs like parsley or a little bit of fresh thyme. The choice is yours. Find your flavor enhancers. And in the link in the description for this recipe, there will be a list of some options, but not an exhaustive list because the list is a million miles long. Now we add our flavor enhancers. So I've got my garlic going in, about 3 cloves of sliced garlic. You could do 1 clove, you could do 100 cloves, I don't care. A tablespoon each of gochujang for some spicy umami, and tomato paste just to round that out. The beauty of adding tomato paste to something like this, it doesn't quite make it taste like tomatoes. It just adds a nice sort of meaty richness to it. It also adds a little bit of color, which is nice. So stir those in until everything is homogeneous. This would also be when you add like soft herbs or even dried herbs. Now I'm gonna crank this up to high heat because there's so much vegetable in here, you don't really need to worry about the whole thing burning. What I wanna do is I just wanna quickly reduce any of the pastes or anything that are in here and get that all coating the vegetable, maximize and deepen that flavor a little bit. But again, you don't wanna really burn it, so keep it stirring. You're gonna do that for about a minute or 2. All right, finally, it's time to add our liquid. If you don't have a cooking liquid, you're not gonna have a soup. You can do anything you want. You could have it just be water. Chicken stock, beef stock, pork stock, brisket stock, dashi, shiradashi in this case. So I have 2. I've got chicken stock here, and I've got a little bit of shiradashi here. Shiradashi, like the store-bought kind, it's very salty, it's very MSG forward, frankly. There's like bonito flakes and all sorts of things that are in there. So I have 2 cups of chicken stock and about a ½ cup of shiradashi. You're gonna wanna add just enough liquid to barely reach the surface of the top of your vegetable. So I think I could use a little bit more, so I might add a splash of water. You could add more chicken stock, you could add a little water. It's gonna reduce. So you see how if I add that, there's just barely enough liquid, just about at the top of these vegetables. It's not quite covering it, it's not quite fully submerged, but it's reached the very height of it without them all floating. That's what you want. So you're gonna stir that, set that to high heat, bring that up to a boil, then reduce to low, bring it to a simmer, cover with a lid, and let that simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until these vegetables are ridiculously soft. I mean, I want them insanely soft. Now, hang on. This next step may determine how long you want these to cook. If you choose to blend this, you want them to be as soft as possible. If you choose to leave it whole as is, unblended, then you might want the vegetables a little more al dente. You may only simmer them for like 5 minutes, and then you're done. We've made it to step 5. We're going to finish this. Now, if you chose to cook this for less time and leave the vegetables intact, then you can obviously serve this right away and put it into bowls. If not, you would have cooked it until the vegetables are incredibly soft. Now, going to blend it. There are many ways you can do this. You can do this in a food processor. You could do it with an immersion blender, like one of those stick blenders. You could do it in a typical blender. You could literally take these vegetables, if you don't have any of those things, and literally push them through a mesh sieve to get the particles out. So let's process it. Now, just to show the first option, just so you can show how that works, you would take a bowl, you would take a mesh sieve, you would take a ladle, and you would take your veg and broth, place it through there, and then quite literally mash that as hard as possible through through your mesh sieve. Now, all of this isn't gonna go through. Like the mushrooms are not gonna go through. That's kind of the downside of this method. If they don't go through, right, or whatever doesn't go through, you can either toss that, right, because you can see that much of it is coming through, quite a bit actually. Now you can either throw this away, which I feel like would be wasteful, or you can take the mushy bits and literally add it back to your soup and stir it in. And then it kind of becomes this sort of like very rustic, mashed sort of stew soup. My ideal way would be in a blender. Same concept. We're gonna ladle in our contents, both the broth and the vegetables. Probably have to do this in batches because the blender is only so big. That goes on, and then you're just gonna blend that on high speed till as smooth as possible. Now this would be the stage where if you want it any thinner at all, you could add a little bit more chicken stock or even a splash of water just to thin it out a touch, but that's up to you. We've made it. We have essentially our soup. It might as well be done at this point. You can make it thinner by adding more broth if you want it more loose. This is sort of like a bit more viscous, a bit more of a puree soup, but again, you can make it more soupy if you want. Oh God, that's good, holy shit. Taste it, see if it needs anything else. Does it need a little bit of salt? Does it need a little bit of seasoning? The point is, your soup is officially done, but now we can plate it and add one more thing if you want. So to plate up our soup, we're gonna ladle a generous portion into a nice shallow or deep bowl. This is an extra tidbit, but you can top your soup with whatever you want. Here I've got a little drizzle of heavy cream, followed by some nice croutons, and some thinly sliced chives. You could add anything else, Parmesan cheese, black peppercorn, I don't care. Serve that and enjoy. But what about other soups? Using this exact technique, we have a beautiful broccoli soup going into a bowl, which I topped with some chopped Marcona almonds, a little bit of herb oil, and some fresh parsley. And then of course you could even do this with mushrooms. A pure mushroom soup with a little bit of sauteed mushrooms, heavy cream drizzled on top, black pepper, and fried onions. It's a mushroom and onion soup, but leveled up. Now, let's taste. First, the initial one. Oh yeah, rich, creamy, vibrant. I could even see a little bit of lemon juice added to this if you wanted some zestiness to it. If you know what romesco tastes like, this is almost like romesco in the form of a soup. There's some smokiness from the shirdashi. It's just overall well balanced. Like this you could eat year round, but also great for the fall time. Mushroom soup, oh. That is insane, wow. This is like cream of mushroom soup on PEDs. Mad PEDs. Very flavorful, powerful of mushroom flavor. Whatever mushroom you put in here, that's gonna be the forward-facing flavor. So if you put a bunch of creminis, delicious, right? But if you wanna mix it up, make it a little more funky, maybe throw in some like maitake mushrooms or oyster mushrooms, right? And let them really cook down. Now, finally, broccoli. I'm willing to bet the kids would like that one. This is a reminder that even the healthiest of vegetable can be unbelievably delicious. And when I say unbelievably, I mean like, I don't even believe this is broccoli. People forget, broccoli has a flavor and it's incredible, especially when you coax it out of the vegetable and put it in the form of this. It's herbaceous, it's fresh. The point is, you can make soup out of almost anything. You could even throw some protein on this. You wanna take some sliced chicken, put the sliced chicken on top of this. But this is an incredible place to start to make soup. You could even not blend it and have it be more of like a stew or have it be more brothy with whole vegetables in it. That's fine too. Soup, any way you like it. I love you. Recipes in the link in the description. And don't forget to subscribe, please. See ya, bye.